Have you ever felt trapped by your own emotions, like they were controlling you instead of the other way around? You try to avoid them, suppress them, or even deny their existence, but they always seem to resurface at the most unexpected moments. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, once said, "What you resist persists." This statement cuts deep into the way we handle our emotions and reveals his profound understanding of the human psyche. When we face negative emotions like anger, sadness, fear, and guilt, the natural instinct is to avoid them, repress them, or even deny them. However, as Jung teaches us, this rarely works. What happens when we avoid an emotion we don't want to feel? The tendency is that it doesn't just disappear, it only grows stronger. By trying to push this emotion away, we give it more power. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. No matter how much force you use, it always finds a way to resurface. And the worst part is that when it does emerge, it's often in a more intense and uncontrolled way. Jung, in his greatness as a thinker, introduced the concept of the shadow. In Jungian psychology, the shadow refers to those parts of ourselves that we repress, that we don't want to acknowledge or even recognize. These are aspects of our personality that don't fit with our ideal self-image. These emotions or characteristics, which we typically try to hide, play a critical role in our journey of self-discovery. But here's the paradox. The more we try to avoid and ignore these parts, the more they grow in strength and power over our lives. It's as if these parts of us, when unacknowledged, take control, influencing our behavior unconsciously. The most fascinating part of all is that, no matter how much we try to ignore them, they continue to affect us. True healing, according to Jung, lies in confronting our shadow, accepting those parts of ourselves that we fear or dislike. And here comes the challenge. What if, instead of trying to avoid these negative emotions, you did something completely opposite to what you're used to doing? Instead of running from anger, sadness, or fear, what if you allowed these emotions to fully manifest? Jung believed that in order to reach individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are, we need to confront and accept these hidden parts of our psyche. This means accepting our deepest emotions and allowing them to express themselves without judgment. But you might be asking yourself, how can embracing my anger, my sadness, or my fear possibly help me feel better? Won't that just make things worse? The truth is, by embracing and acknowledging these emotions, you take away their power over your life. When you resist them, they control you. But when you accept them, you begin to regain control over them. Think back to a time when you avoided something difficult, maybe a conversation you didn't want to have, or a feeling you didn't want to confront. The relief you felt was temporary, but the underlying anxiety remained, didn't it? Now imagine if, instead of avoiding it, you had faced the situation head-on. No matter how challenging it would have been, the sense of relief afterward would have been far more lasting. This is not an invitation to indulge in negative emotions or to let them consume you. What Jung teaches us is that by accepting these emotions, we give them space to be experienced and, ultimately, released. When we allow ourselves to feel fully without rushing to change or eliminate the emotion, we free ourselves from its control. Over time, you begin to notice that these emotions are not as overpowering as you once thought. They lose their intensity because you've stopped fighting them. By accepting your anger, your sadness, or your fear, you disarm the intensity of those emotions, allowing them to pass without causing further harm. But what's the real benefit of all this? By doing the opposite of what you would normally do, by stopping your avoidance and embracing what bothers you, you begin to release the emotional energy that's been trapped inside you. And once that energy is released, it can be transformed into something positive, into learning, growth, and inner peace. So the next time you find yourself trying to suppress a negative emotion, ask yourself, What if the key to releasing this emotion is to do the opposite of what I think I should do? This, my friend, is the path to true emotional freedom. It's not about denying the pain. It's about confronting it and understanding it. When you do that, emotions stop being your enemies and become your allies on your journey of self-awareness and growth. Instead of resisting, embrace, accept, release. When you allow yourself to truly experience your emotions without judgment or resistance, you create a space for healing that you might not have known was possible. It's in this acceptance that the transformation happens, not in denying what you feel, but in embracing it. Think about the way we often react when we're upset or angry. Our immediate instinct is to fight it, to push it away, or to hide it. But by doing this, we are essentially prolonging our suffering. The emotions don't go anywhere. They remain within us, festering, growing in the background. And it's only when we turn towards them with understanding, rather than rejection, that we can begin to let go of the negative grip they have over us. The process might not be immediate. Emotions, especially those that have been buried for years, don't simply disappear overnight. But with consistent effort and willingness to feel what you feel, the burden they carry begins to lessen. You no longer feel controlled by them. Instead, you become the one in charge of how you respond. It's important to realize that you are not your emotions. Emotions are temporary states, fleeting and ever-changing. You are the observer of those emotions, not their prisoner. And the more you accept this reality, the more freedom you will gain. Jung's teachings are about balance. They show us that the path to wholeness is not about trying to be someone we are not, but rather about integrating all aspects of ourselves, the light and the dark. By embracing our shadow, by acknowledging and accepting the emotions we try to run from, we become more complete. We stop being fragmented, and we start living in harmony with all parts of our being. Now I want you to reflect on this. What would it feel like to live in a world where your emotions no longer controlled your actions? Imagine the freedom you would experience if you were no longer governed by fear, anger, or sadness. What if you could sit with these emotions, allow them to pass through you, and simply let them go? This is the promise of emotional freedom, the ability to feel, understand, and release. In embracing your negative emotions, you're also giving yourself the gift of self-awareness. You're no longer letting your unconscious fears dictate your life. You're becoming a conscious creator of your reality. And this shift in perspective is one of the most powerful changes you can make. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that emotions are something to be avoided, that they are weaknesses to be suppressed. But when you allow yourself to feel fully, you discover a strength that is often hidden beneath the surface. It's the strength that comes from accepting yourself completely, your flaws, your fears, your imperfections. This is where true power lies. You don't need to be afraid of your emotions. They are not your enemies. They are simply messengers, telling you something important about yourself. And by learning to listen to them, by learning to sit with them without judgment, you unlock the key to your own emotional freedom. Remember, you have the power to release what no longer serves you. It's in your hands. Take a deep breath and let go. When you start embracing your emotions, you will likely encounter moments of resistance. The urge to retreat into old habits, of suppressing or running from uncomfortable feelings, will surface. That's natural. But it's in these moments that your growth is truly tested. It's in the space between resistance and acceptance that your transformation happens. Each time you choose to stay present with your emotions rather than avoiding them, you're reinforcing a new pattern within yourself. It's like building a muscle. At first it feels awkward, uncomfortable, and unfamiliar. But the more you practice, the stronger you become. With each moment of acceptance, you learn more about yourself and gain greater emotional resilience. It's also important to remember that emotions are not inherently good or bad. They simply are. The value we assign to them comes from our own perceptions. Anger, for example, is often labeled as negative, but in reality, it can be a powerful signal that something is out of alignment in our lives. When you allow yourself to fully experience and understand your anger, rather than judging it as something to be ashamed of, you can uncover its deeper message. Fear can also be transformative if we stop running from it. When we face fear head-on, we learn that it's not as terrifying as we once believed. In fact, fear often reveals the boundaries we've created for ourselves and challenges us to push beyond them. By embracing fear, you open up the possibility of expansion and growth. You give yourself permission to move beyond your comfort zone, knowing that fear is not a barrier, but a doorway to new experiences and opportunities. And what about sadness? Many people try to avoid sadness because it feels heavy and draining. But sadness, like all emotions, has its purpose. It often comes to us when we need to grieve, to let go, or to process a loss. When we allow ourselves to truly feel sadness, without rushing to fix it or push it away, we give ourselves permission to heal. Sadness, when experienced fully, can lead to a profound sense of peace and release. It's through this acceptance and understanding that we transform our negative emotions into tools for self-discovery and personal growth. Rather than being at the mercy of our emotions, we become empowered by them. They are no longer the driving force behind our reactions, but rather sources of insight and guidance. This shift in perspective doesn't happen overnight, and it requires patience. But with each step you take towards embracing your emotions, you'll find that you start to release the emotional baggage you've been carrying for years. It's not about erasing your emotions, but about letting go of the hold they have on you. It's about reclaiming your power and learning to navigate life's challenges with a greater sense of calm, clarity, and confidence. The road to emotional freedom is not always easy, but it is worth it. By embracing your emotions rather than avoiding them, you give yourself the chance to truly heal. You free yourself from the patterns that have been holding you back, and you open yourself up to a life of deeper connection, authenticity, and peace. So, take a moment to breathe and remind yourself, I am capable of feeling it all. I am capable of embracing my emotions, understanding them, and releasing them. And with each release, I become more whole, more free, and more at peace with myself. Eventually, you will begin to notice a subtle shift in the way you perceive not only yourself, but also the world around you. The weight of emotions no longer feels so heavy because you've learned to hold space for them. You've learned to be a compassionate observer of your own experiences rather than a harsh critic. The beauty of this process is that you are no longer fighting against the current of your emotions. You're learning to flow with it. Life, in all its complexity, brings challenges, trials, and moments of discomfort. But by embracing these emotions as they arise, you begin to view these challenges not as threats, but as opportunities for growth. You start to see that emotional pain is often a catalyst for change and transformation, not something to fear. Remember, this isn't about avoiding life's difficulties or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It's about creating the inner strength and resilience to face whatever comes your way with a grounded, open heart. When you stop running from your emotions, you stop allowing them to control you. You begin to regain your agency, your autonomy over your inner world. You learn that the more you surrender to the ebb and flow of your emotional experience, the more peaceful and balanced your inner life becomes. This is the crux of what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, of integrating all aspects of your personality, both light and shadow. When you embrace your emotions, no matter how challenging they may seem, you are engaging in your own process of individuation. You are becoming more fully yourself, more authentically aligned with who you were meant to be. It's also important to understand that emotional release is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing journey. Emotions will continue to arise throughout your life, but with each one, you get better at responding with awareness and acceptance. Each time you release a negative emotion, you are training yourself to trust the process, to trust yourself. You are cultivating a deeper understanding of your inner landscape and learning to navigate it with wisdom and grace. As you practice this deeper level of emotional awareness, you'll notice that you begin to feel lighter. The emotional clutter you once carried starts to clear away, making space for more peace, joy, and clarity. You start to understand that you are not defined by your emotions, but rather by how you respond to them. You are not your anger, your fear, or your sadness. You are the person who chooses how to interact with those emotions. And as you release those emotions, you begin to experience greater freedom, not just emotionally, but in every area of your life. The heaviness of carrying around unresolved feelings dissipates, allowing you to make more conscious choices, to be more present in the moment, and to experience life more fully. One of the most powerful aspects of this emotional freedom is that it enables you to form deeper, more authentic connections with others. When you are no longer carrying the weight of suppressed emotions, you become more open and available to the people around you. You can listen more attentively, respond more genuinely, and share your true self without fear of judgment. This is the true essence of emotional healing, not just the release of negative emotions, but the ability to live fully, without the constant weight of emotional baggage. It's about creating a life where you are free to feel deeply, to express yourself authentically, and to move through challenges with resilience and grace. As you continue to release what no longer serves you, you will find that your capacity for joy, love, and peace expands. You will discover that the more you let go, the more you make room for positivity and fulfillment to enter your life. This is not a one-time shift, but an ongoing practice that will continue to unfold and evolve as you do. So I encourage you to keep moving forward. Embrace each emotion as it comes, knowing that by doing so, you are freeing yourself. Release what no longer serves you, and make room for the emotional freedom that awaits. You have the power to heal, to grow, and to create the life you desire. Remember, the journey of emotional release is not about perfection, but about progress. Every step you take towards embracing and releasing your emotions brings you closer to the person you are meant to become. Keep trusting in yourself and the process, and know that with every breath you take, you are one step closer to emotional freedom. The power is within you. Trust the journey and watch as you transform your inner world and, ultimately, your outer world as well. If this message resonated with you and you're ready to embrace your emotions, grow, and heal, I invite you to join me on this path of self-discovery by subscribing to the channel. There's more content like this coming your way to guide you on your journey. If you found this message helpful and it touched you in some way, feel free to leave a super thanks. Your support helps me continue creating content to inspire and empower more people like you. Remember, the power to heal is within you. Let's walk this path together. Subscribe and let's keep growing.